Welcome everybody. Time to talk about something immensely important. This will ruin Apex Legends if these changes comes to fruition. In particular, I'm talking about the potential changes to aim assist, which will likely be an overall nerf. Listen, this is generally an opinionated video. I can't exactly predict what's going to happen in the future. I only make a general educated guess based on all the experiences I've ever run into. So if you agree with my opinion or if you disagree with my opinion, leave a comment down below and we'll talk about it. Why make this potential change to aim assist? Well, many players at the high end of the player base, we're going to be talking about mostly professional players, multi-season preds, masters, and a lot of diamond players, like to frequently complain and crush the excuse that aim assist is the reason why they're losing a lot of their fights. And they also use the excuse that even pros are switching over in competitive play to make sure they get more guaranteed kills. But at the end of the day, is this really the problem? Would this be a good change? First, what is aim assist? Well, aim assist in the simplest terms is basically computer assisted aim for controller inputs that tends to engage at more closer mid-range to close fights to increase overall accuracy. That's the most basic, loose definition of what aim assist is. Basically what I think it is, which there's always a more technical answer and you could find those online. There are plenty of other smarter people that could really break it down and, like I said, get way more technical. But at the bottom line is that it's computer aided aim, right? It helps players aim more accurately during fights. Why is this needed? Well, it's needed to help the overall player base, which is overwhelmingly casual, to win more fights. In Apex Legends, PC is known to have 0.4 or 40% of aim assist, while console has 0.6 or 60%. Overall, more aim assist. Consoles given more aim assist due to limitations that most consoles will likely have. We're typically talking about, PS4 or the Xbox equivalent of whatever that is. PS5 does have a higher frame rate, but overall, most players are going to be on a PS4 or any of the consoles that are very limited in FPS. If someone is playing mouse and key, they are getting zero aim assist. Mouse and key is generally considered to be raw input and is essentially takes more skill to be accurate. However, mouse and key also has way more capabilities, like being able to adjust your keybinds, having a keybind for every individual key that you need or every individual moment, and generally getting better accuracy over longer distances. Controller is very limited due to the amount of buttons. There's far less buttons on the controller than there is on actual keyboard. Also, most controller players will only use their two thumbs to hit every button that they need to, not including the triggers. While on mouse and key, well, we can use all 5 fingers at once. Plus, if there's any extra buttons on the mouse, we can use those mouse buttons. The only way to get the most out of your controller is if you was to buy a custom one, which can cost upwards to $200 for the really fancy ones, or you could play claw or double claw. The only downside of playing claw or double claw is that it could lead to health risks down the line. Also, generally, in my opinion, if you believe that aim assist was 100% the reason you are losing fights in Apex, you are wrong. Considering most people have a negative KD and most people can't even get above platinum in Apex Legends, the reason why you're losing is not because of aim assist, it's overall because of skill. Aim assist also generally raises the skill floor. So most controller players, if they're pretty decent, will play at generally the same level at a skill floor. However, the mouse key skill floor is a lot lower. It takes a lot more practice and definitely a lot more getting used to, especially if you've never played a mouse and key game before. So essentially what I'm trying to say is if controller really was that overpowered, if aim assist was OP and it did need a nerf, well, every controller player would be at least in platinum. That'd probably be a safe bet to say, but that's not the case. Aim assist has been around for a long time, which was generally originally created for the console player base for games that were released way back as PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and even platforms earlier than that. Most shooters past Halo 3 and earlier Call of Duty titles had some form of aim assist where the computer will help you out with your aim to become more accurate. But back then, it was pretty much like a normal thing. Nobody ever really thought of it. Plus, on top of that, you still had to generally control your recoil. Aim assist does not help you with recoil. It only helps you with overall aim. So if you have poor recoil control, that's 100% on you. That has always been the case and it will continue to be the case. It's even the case to this day. PC and console gamers were pretty much never mixed because crossplay gaming didn't really become a thing until roughly 2018 when Fortnite announced it and started doing it. Once Fortnite announced that you could crossplay and you was able to play with your friends while on console or vice versa on PC, it did come with one major caveat. The caveat was that any console player playing with a PC friend was likely to be playing in PC lobbies because overall the skill levels on console were generally a lot lower than PC, thus allowing an exploit for PC players to try to rack up high-level kill games in console lobbies, which is not exactly fair. Amongst other advantages that PC do get, like higher FPS, better latency, overall better equipment, likely better internet because you can plug in an Ethernet cable directly to your PC, giving you better ping, which is only going to help you out in more fights. Most average PC players could probably and likely stomp out the majority of console players without too much of an issue. Of course, they're going to run into some issues with the guys who are really, really good. However, overall, they wanted to keep them separate. If they were going to play together, well, the console players are going to be in for a rude awakening because it's going to be a lot more difficult, and it definitely was. I remember specifically my friends when I first got my computer together and I started playing with them on console because we were able to. They used to complain about playing with me at that point when I started playing on PC more often because they noticed the lobbies were a lot more harder, a lot more sweatier. The skill gap also immediately for me was incredibly present. There also were other games that did allow a form of crossplay on PC and console, like Minecraft, but crossplay honestly didn't really become a major thing until Fortnite did it. Because then next thing you know, Call of Duty did it and other games did it also. So up until 2018, roughly, aim assist was never sought to be an issue regarding skill imbalance. It wasn't really until 2020 and 2021 is where that complaint really started to come to fruition. COVID had shut the world down and there was a lot more gamers on the scene and a plenty of more content creators / pros, which introduced a whole lot more of opinions. However, in Apex Legends, once the professional scene saw an influx of controller players, the complaints really started to roll in. When controller players in the comp scene were taking down players with absolute finesse, which was usually hard to replicate without an immense amount of practice on mouse and key, people would usually constantly cite aim assist as being the main issue and the main drive. That mindset has entered the casual community, even though 99% of the casuals will never be in that position, which is like playing in LAN or in high-level tournaments. They still use that as an excuse. So when the players that play at the high end of the ranked system, talk about Diamond Masters and Preds, which is less than 25% of the overall player base, when those guys go down, they blame aim assist as a problem. And then they take it a step further and use the pros to help their excuse for playing poorly. They'll say, well, listen, all these pros are switching over because of aim assist, and that's the reason why I'm losing, because all these other players are switching to controller and now I'm fighting against a computer, and that's not fair to me. Well, overall, these complaints being loud enough for so long, now the developers have finally taken notice, and now they're looking into potentially changing aim assist. And in my opinion, this is something they should not do. If you played Apex Legends for long enough, you'll know that it's easy to blame the pros for the changes to the game that the devs will implement. One of the biggest things that people will reference that's of recent memory is the Kraber nerf, which used to always one-shot headshot no matter what armor and helmet that you had. Also, the removal of self-revive is part of this conversation. Other changes could also be cited to some pros complaining about it, likely to be linked to a nerf of a particular legend. So basically what had happened was something that would happen in the pro scene. A professional player, we'll just say someone on TSM, let's just say, would get headshotted by a Kraber. And because it was a one-shot headshot, it would make the complaint. They would say it's unfair and it should not be in competitive play, which to an extent is true. It should not be in competitive play. However, they want to see a change. And coincidentally, the Daves would make the change similar to what was requested not too far in the future. But the problem is that it affected everybody. The complaint that was generally never heard from the casual community was, why take it away from us who enjoyed it? Why take it away from the casuals who enjoyed hitting somebody in the head with the Kraber for one shot and taking them down? Why take that satisfaction away from us? Which is 100% true. It was not needed. The only people who complained about it was less than 1% of the overall player base, the professionals, the people who get paid to play the game and paid to play in these large tournaments for large amounts of money. The casuals should be having fun unleashing this havoc in public games or in non-ranked modes where the game should be the most fun and broken items should generally live. The one-shot Kraber should be a thing in pubs. Self-revive should be a thing in pubs. Heat shields should be a thing in pubs, which it currently is. And because the developers cannot seem to separate the two things, ranked and competitive, or pubbed and ranked and competitive, because they can't seem to separate these things, making changes to aim assist would not be in anybody's favor. If the developers are able to separate changes and implement them accordingly, then I would not mind a change to aim assist. However, because they have not been known to do these things correctly, I don't think they should make any changes. Pubs should be the most fun. Rank should be very similar to competitive, and competitive should be competitive. You shouldn't be worrying about it if you're honestly watching this video, because you're probably not playing in those lobbies. Like I said, the one-shot Kraber should be in pubs. Self-revive should be in pubs. A one-shot Kraber should not be in ranked. Self-revive should not be in ranked. You want to keep ranked as competitive as possible and as similar to ALGS. They should also take out heat shields for ranked, because they keep abusing it one way or another. I'm not sure why they don't keep these things separate, and why can't they separate them? I don't know if it's out of pure laziness, or maybe it's something difficult to code. However, I don't really think so, because many games have done this time and time again on other titles. So it leads me to believe that it's out of laziness. However, you never really know. I'm not an SC, I'm not a developer. I'm not a developer for EA, so I really can't say. So because of all this, they should not make any changes to aim assist. This will only hurt the casual community. And if you hurt the casual community, they're gonna leave. Making changes to aim assist is only going to cater to the professional / high skilled end of the community. All the casuals who play for likely, what, 5 to 10 hours a week, if that, more than likely less, will immediately notice that they cannot shoot as good as they used to. And if they lose that confidence, you know what? What's keeping it from playing Apex? What's keeping the casuals from playing at that point? They'll just leave and probably never come back. If they do end up realizing, because a lot of the casuals don't actually pay attention to, you know, changes and patch notes and stuff like that. If they do end up realizing that they made changes and it kind of sided to the pro scene, they'll be even more upset, because they're like, why are you making it harder for me to play the game, for the professionals, when they play this game 8 to 12 hours a day and get paid to do it? The more casuals that leave, the more sweats that you'll likely have to face in your public games. And it's already sweaty enough. Gaming nowadays overall is sweaty enough, and it just feels like you just can't even play casually anymore. And if you drive away what's left of the casual base, it's only going to get worse. At this point in pubs, it's almost like if you don't land hot, you basically you're playing a looting simulator until you find, what, the last 2 teams. Maybe you can win the fight, maybe you don't. Based on some stats, overall 75% of the player base can't even reach Diamond 4, and that's based on statistics from October of 2023. Here's the other end of the argument, which is why they should not make any changes. This is actually going to be catered towards the professional players or the higher ranking players, right? I've said this before in my videos, and I'm going to say it again. If you nerf aim assist even to a 0.3, the professional players and the players who are very good, highly skilled, will easily adjust and be back to just putting down anybody that they can. Remember, PC is on a 0.4, so if you adjust it to a 0.3, maybe in the beginning, mouse key players will have an advantage, you know, while controller players are adjusting. But listen, like I said, the high skill players / professionals, they're going to adjust very, very quickly. And when they do adjust to 0.3, it's going to be the same thing. And then what? What are you going to do? Our mouse and key players are going to complain about aim assist even more? Are we then going to revert back to square one? So we already hurt the casual base, which has definitely affected them and will more than likely cause some of them to leave, to get down to a 0.3 just to be back at square one, and you want to nerf it down to what, a 0.2? Generally because you're making a bad play? Listen, I fight against controller players in ranked all the time. I've won against many controller players. I know my strong suits. I know when I mess up, and I understand when I mess up. Do I notice sometimes getting absolutely rolled by a controller player? 100%. But I don't use that as an excuse and be like, we need to nerf aim assist. You never hear me say that. And if you do, I mean, I'm just trolling, because I generally don't believe that. Overall, if aim assist really did bother me, I have a controller. I'll just plug one in. And trust me, I have a lot more years on controller than I do mouse and key. So I'm going to adjust fairly quickly. Overall, I'm not saying we should 100% cater to the casual base. No, I'm not saying that. But an attempt at changing aim assist is not the answer for less than 3% of the population. One of my favorite ideas as of recent is to separate the 2 inputs in ranked. Halo Infinite did this very well. In ranked mode, you have 2 options. You play ranked with a controller only, or you play mouse and key only lobbies. Both have their own individual ranks. You'll be able to fairly fight against controller players in controller only lobbies, or you'll be able to fight only mouse and key players in mouse and key only lobbies. And everybody's on the same playground, no matter what you do. And whatever rank you get is the rank you deserve on that input. So if we can take that same idea and put that and implement it into Apex Legends, that will help solve the complaints of aim assist in the casual base. Because guess what? In pro play, you got to deal with it, bro. You're getting paid for this. You're getting thousands of dollars if you win. Figure it out. You're the 0.00001% of the population. You know, there's only what, less than 100 pro league players. You guys can figure it out. You'll be all right. If you can get only to diamond 4 on mouse and key, but on controller, you can kind of get to diamond 3. Well, now you see where you stack up in the controller field or on a mouse and key field, vice versa. Those are my overall opinions, guys. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. If you like this video and you like my overall opinion, please do not forget to like, subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next stream.